But open communication is like my number one thing with whether you're bipolar or not, like open communication in a relationship, but it's game changing when navigating symptoms of bipolar as well.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that we talked a little bit briefly about this before we started the podcast, but we have been so conditioned to associate symptoms with a medical condition, that a lot of people think that bipolar is a medical condition. And so it makes you feel like a victim. You feel like a victim to what's happening to you. You feel like you don't have any control over it. We automatically go to, oh, this is my bipolar, rather than having any kind of curiosity about what's actually causing the symptoms to occur in the first place. And your self-awareness, well, I'm assuming, so maybe you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but the awareness that this is happening because of the hormone imbalances in my body right now. Like the hormones are out of whack right now. And that coupled with medication and the medication withdrawal and all of the things that are happening, this is not something that's beyond my control. It's something that I need to be aware of. I need to work through. What did that look like with you and your husband? That's one of the things that is a lot of people struggle with, with their partners. Their partners don't know what to do. They feel helpless, So can you talk us through what that looked like and how you guys navigated that?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I have taken from therapy, and I do therapy monthly because I swear by it, I think everyone should be in therapy. Yeah. But I used to say, this feels like a lot. And my therapist would say, well, it doesn't feel like a lot. It is a lot. There's a lot of things happening. And that has stuck with me and has come into my relationship because it feels like a lot for both of us, but it is a lot for both of us. And so how can we work as a team and kind of divide and conquer to make sure we're both feeling heard, we're both feeling supported, we're both feeling seen? And I think a big part of working with the bipolar and just with symptoms in general and with like life in general is meeting each other where we're at. And I think that's not just a bipolar relationship, that's any healthy relationship, meeting each other where you're at. And there are going to be days where I need him to step up more. And there are going to be days that he needs me to step up more. And we've really just fine-tuned that over the years together of being able to verbalize when we need someone, not this mind reading, you should know how I feel or you should know what I need. Yeah. And really just saying like, I don't feel like my best self today. This is what's going on and this is what I need from you. Can you do that? If you can't, okay, let's make another plan. Let's figure out how we can meet our needs together. But open communication is like my number one thing with whether you're bipolar or not, like open communication in a relationship, but it's game changing when navigating symptoms of bipolar as well.
And tell me, you say that you're in individual therapy. Have you done any kind of couples therapy? How has that, what have you done there because this is kind of high level, like healthy boundary type things. And so how is that, what have you guys done as a couple to develop those relationship habits?
We haven't done couples therapy before. I think people could benefit from it, but both partners need to want to do it. Yeah. But for me, it's kind of a expectation that we hold ourselves to and a lot of grace for the imperfectness of the human experience. So I think we have a dedication to each other. And I'm just trying to think as I'm saying it that we show up messy and we show up vulnerably. And sometimes it's ugly and sometimes it works well. But it really has just been, I think, over 14 years practicing this communication and this, like being 16 and in a relationship is very different than being 30 with 2 children. And going through university and me falling quite ill and just, we were in the party scene and no relationship is healthy with drinking and those kinds of things. And so we really did have to commit at one point and say, if this is long-term, like we both feel it's meant to be, we're going to have to do things differently and we're going to have to show up differently. And I think there's just that recommitment over and over again to showing up in a way that's going to support our relationship and our family. And he is my best friend. So I always say when the relationship piece goes sideways, there's at least basic respect as a friend. And I think that respect goes a long way in how you want to do better for yourself and for your relationship.
Yeah. And I'd like to explore a little bit, if you're okay with it, what your personal therapy has done for you in your relationship, because that was one thing that I was very frustrated for a long time because my husband was not interested in doing couples therapy. And I'm like, we need to work on our relationship. And I would read books about relationships and want him to get on board, and it took some time for me to figure out that if I just worked on getting myself healthy, it was going to change the relationship. Because if you've got one super unhealthy partner, it creates an unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. If both partners are super unhealthy, it's, a mess. But if one of the partners starts to get healthy and starts to interact in healthier ways and set healthy boundaries, it can have a huge impact on the relationship as a whole. So tell me what your experience has been with that. Like, if you have any, thoughts on that, or what your experience has been.
I think that's so well said. And that's exactly it. And I think that comes back to like the commitment to be better, because the healthier I get, he wants to match and grow with me. And I think like I'm so grateful that he continues to want to grow with me. So for me, the personal therapy allows a lot of internal reflection, but also third-party reflection, which is why I like therapy so much. It's someone who doesn't have an emotional entanglement into your life. They can really be a sounding board. And there's also been times where it's allowed me to see my partner for who he is without the emotional. So I can say, he's done this, or he made me feel this way, and all that. And my therapist gets very factual, very analytical. And she goes, well, do you think he did this because of this, or because he was feeling this way? And it takes me out of it for a moment and allows me to become the observer. And the more I've done that over time, the more now in the moment that's heated, I can step back and observe rather than just be full throttle emotions into it. And so it allows me to see him as a person versus just my partner. And it's like, well, there's a reason he's responding this way, whether it's now from his childhood, or there's a reason he's responding this way based off of what I said. And it's allowed me to take more ownership over how my words affect people and how my actions affect people. Even if I'm embarrassed because I made a mistake, or I'm embarrassed because I said something unkind, I can now take ownership quicker and say, I didn't mean to say it like that. That wasn't cool. I'm really sorry. This is actually what I meant. And it's kind of that checking myself. And I've been able to do that because of therapy.